So here's our lovely plastic tomato. Oh, there's the real one right inside. We have 4 tomatoes today for our tomato sauce, nice and ripe. Cut into medium-sized cubes, triangles, yeah. And here's our garlic, lovely garlic clove that we'll be using today. And they're cut into thin slices rather than minced. Red onion or yellow onion works fine. I used about half an onion for this recipe. And we dice them. Going to my freezer to get some frozen greens that I froze earlier on, arugula and kale. Freezing greens does preserve the nutrients as well. Some seasonings I have here. Traditional oregano, basil, black pepper, salt. And some optional ingredients, sun-dried tomatoes and some Kalamata olives. You can also add some mushrooms, and there's our pot. And some olive oil. Of course, olive oil is a staple in traditional Italian cooking. And some white wine as well. Not for drinking, for the sauce. You can also use water. We'll start by adding about a tablespoon of olive oil. Make sure you close that lid. Give it a nice swirl and look at the purple color of my heating. Not sure. Add our garlic in there. And this kind of garlic, this slicing method, prevents it from burning as fast as minced garlic would. Burnt garlic is just not fun. And I'm not inviting you over to my place to share this. I'm smelling it, wafting, to see that it's ready for me to add the onions. And looking at the golden brown color. Smells lovely. So adding my diced onions to the pot. Giving it a nice stir. There's a lot of stirring in this recipe. Hope you don't mind. Some fast stirring. And our seasonings. I added about half or more, and then I'll add the rest later. Aerial view for you. Smells awesome at this point. And of course, our tomatoes. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. No potatoes in this recipe. That would be kind of weird. Potato, tomato sauce. I don't know, maybe. Could be good. More stirring. This time, fast, slow stirring. And the rest of my seasonings. Stir, stir, stir. There's our white wine. I do have to add, it is more preferable to add the white wine before the tomatoes. I did forget that step. I promise I didn't have any wine beforehand. And end of story, I'll close the lid on that one. We'll move on to our next step. So after simmering for about 5 minutes on low, medium heat, we can give a taste test for salt typically and the seasonings. It gets a thumbs up, kind of. All right, our sun-dried tomatoes and olives. Or mushrooms, if you have mushrooms. Actually, mushrooms would be lovely to add after the onions and the garlic because they take a little longer to cook. Sorry, no mushrooms, folks. And close the lid. End of story. So back to our pot. I did add a little more salt, maybe a teaspoon for my own preference. I got my heat on medium-high here to get a nice cooking of all my ingredients. Nice stir. And there goes my greens. Greens you almost always add to the end of the recipe because they cook very fast and the nutrients can be lost if you cook them for too long or minimalized. So give it a nice stir. My heat's on about low-medium right now. And I added a little bit more water because I didn't add all my wine earlier, just to give it a little bit more of a thinner, thick sauce. And there's also no tomato paste in this recipe if you saw. It's got enough of a density with the ingredients. There we go. Tomato sauce is already ready before I could talk, and it's all ready to go, guys. So I added it to some lentils and rice, actually. You can also add it to pasta, of course. Traditional, classic tomato sauce. I know it looks a little bit like a soup. You can blend it. I like to add a lot of density and texture to my tomato sauces, so I get more nutrients that way, and I just like texture in my food. You might like it smooth, you might like it soft. Whatever it is, make it personable to your lifestyle. And have an awesome rockin' tomato sauce day.